friends, today I'm here to share with you all of the books that I read in the month of May. There is still today and tomorrow left in the month, but I'm currently reading Beach Read by Emily Henry, and then I don't think I'm going to pick up anything else. I'm going to try to make that last today and tomorrow so that Monday I can start the HEA-a-thon with a clean slate. So, May was not the best reading month for me. I only read 13 books. But yeah, that's just the way it is. So, to start off the month, I read How to Love a Duke in 10 Days by Carrie Byrne. This is book 1, and I don't know what the series is called. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. It starts off when this group of 3 young girls are in school, and something happens that kind of bonds them together more in their friendship. It fast forwards to when they're adults, and Lady Alexandra receives a note from one of her friends saying, you have to accept this invitation to this wedding. You need to be there. Things are happening. And like each girl kind of has their own difficulties within their past. So Lady Alexandra goes to this invitation, and she ends up meeting this duke who is, for like reasons, gonna marry her best friend. But her best friend doesn't want to marry this duke, so she kind of inserts herself into this marriage of convenience because he can get what he needs. He needs to be married. She needs money. And I can't explain this without trying to spoil everything. But this one was so good. Carrie Byrne is probably my favorite historical romance author that I've read so far. Not that there's been many, but she is definitely top of my list. Next, I read Dear Erin by Mariana Zapata. This is a very low 3 stars for me. I think I've kind of gotten over Mariana Zapata a little bit. Wait for It, Underlock, From Lukov with Love, Rhythm Quarter Malakin, Colty, I love. But I've tried to read her newer, what was it called? I've tried to read one of her last 2 releases. I don't remember which one it was. And I didn't enjoy that one. And I didn't enjoy this one. She's very repetitive. She's got like, in that other one that I tried to read, it was, oh, I could tell who was coming. Oh, I could tell who was coming. And in this one, it was kind of the main female character being really childish in her opinions about herself, if that makes sense. But, yeah. This is a, how do you say it? Epistolary romance? Is that the word? I think that's the word. It starts off with the 2 main characters writing letters while the hero is overseas in the military. And then when he comes back, they end up really randomly. I don't understand, like, what. They went on a vacation together. Yeah. Didn't enjoy this one as much as I wanted to. One that I did really enjoy was Wildfire by Alona Andrews. This is book 3 in the Hidden Legacy series, and this is the end of Nevada and Rogan's trilogy set of the Hidden Legacy series. I love this series so much. It's like a magical contemporary, if that makes sense. Like, it's set in Houston, Texas, and you get like little glimpses of Houston, but you're also really getting like a very complex magical system, and I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the series. I am going to be reading the next, I think there's 2 out so far, with Nevada's sister as the main heroine, and I definitely will be reading those. Then I read The Beast by Katie Robert. This is book 4 in the Wicked Villain series. My cover is, yeah. I bent it, or it got bent in shipping, and now I just, like, I can't get it to straight down. Anyway, this is book 4 in the Wicked Villain series. This is Belle, Gaston, Gaten, and the Beast. I gave this one 4 stars, but I didn't like it as much as I've liked the rest of the series. Going into this one, we know that in the past, Belle has kind of isolated Beast and Gaten from, they're like warriors for her territory, but she dated both of them and couldn't pick, so they have like run away kind of. But she goes to get them back because they think somebody's going to attack their territory, and they end up making a deal with her that she has 2 weeks with both of them, and then she's got to pick, and they'll both just live with her decision and everything. And then it kind of just like goes out from there. But I loved the concept of the story, and it was really well written. Obviously, Katie Robert is an amazing writer, but the other one with Hercules and Meg and Hades, I felt more connected, more that they understood where each other were coming from than I did in this one. And I couldn't help but compare them. Then I read Wicked and the Wallflower by Sarah McLean. This is book 1 in the Bare Knuckle Bastards series. This is about Lady Felicity, who basically gets caught talking to herself on a balcony, and then a guy comes out of the shadows and basically tells her that he can get her the duke that she needs to marry her because she's getting to be like spinstered, and there's been some drama, and she doesn't think anybody will want to marry her. But he basically tells her he can get her the duke because he is rivals with this duke. She doesn't know that. But basically he's rivals with this duke, and in the process of helping her try to get what she wants, they fall in love. Yeah. I don't know, there's so much more to this story though. I wrote down 3 stars for this, but I really, it's a high 3 stars. Definitely a high 3 stars. I am looking forward to book 2 in the series, and especially book 3, which I don't think is out yet. I need to actually look that up. Then I started trying to get down some of the series on my TBR, and I read Built by Jay Crownover. This is book 1 in the Saints of Denver series. This is about Sayer and Zeb. Sayer is the sister of Rowdy from the Marked Men series that shows up, and they didn't know about each other until they were adults. And she moved to Denver, bought a house. Zeb is a friend of Rowdy and the Marked Men, and she hires him to help her fix up her house for her. And she's a lawyer, and he needs help with a thing, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I just kind of wish that most of the story takes place after they've already finished her house, and I just kind of wish it took place during when he was working on her house. That's my gripe about it. Then one of my new releases for the month of May came, and I read Stone Princess by Dabney Perry. This is book 3 in her 10 Gypsy series. And this is about Presley, who works in the, office part of their garage. At the beginning of this one, she has been left at the altar by the guy who all of the men in her life said was no good. But she knew him from when she was younger, and she just didn't want to listen to anybody tell her that he wasn't good for her. So she's been left at the altar. She's obviously brokenhearted. And then enter Shaw? Yeah, enter Shaw, who is a Hollywood actor who has come to town because they're doing a movie on the events from books 1 and 2. The people in the 10 Gypsy group are worried about how they're going to be portrayed to the outside world in this movie. So Shaw is really attracted to Presley. So Presley kind of volunteers to find out what's going on with the movie, what's happening and everything. And I didn't like Presley and Shaw all that much on their own or together. I gave this one 3 stars. This has been my least favorite of the series so far. I also think I was really, invested in the, mystery elements of book 1 and 2. And this one didn't have that at all. It didn't have that same thing in it. Then I continued on with the Saints of Denver series, and I read Charged, book 2 by Jay Crownover. This is Avett and Quaid. Quaid is a lawyer who is very much about the finer things in life. He didn't have them when he was younger, and he thinks that's how you measure success is by how good you are at your job, how much you can own. But Abbott is a risk taker. She was very... not sheltered. What's the word? There's a word I can't think of. But basically, when she would get in trouble, people would always, like, cover up for her. And, like, basically, like, say she didn't mean it. You know, she's just young. She's naive. Is that the... I don't know what I'm trying to say. I didn't like either one of these two. I gave this one 3 stars. I didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. Let me say that. I didn't mind the other aspects of the story, but the characters. Then I read Riveted by Jay Crownover, book 3 in the Saints of Denver series. I don't know why I have a UK cover for this. I think I bought it at Half Price Books. And it doesn't match. But this is about Dixie and Dash. And Dixie is, I don't remember if she's a waitress or a bartender. Dash is the, like, bouncer at the bar where she works. And he is a former soldier and hasn't been back to his hometown since he came back from overseas. And he basically tells his family that he's staying in Denver because of a girl. And they were like, well, bring the girl. So he enlists Dixie's help to go to his hometown, pretend to be a girl that's involved with him, which she doesn't mind because she's been trying to get involved with him since they met. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was so good. It dealt a lot with things we're seeing right now of he is a half black, half white man raised in the South. Yeah. There were some heartbreaking conversations that he had to have with her about what people would say or what people would, like, imply about them being together as her a white woman and with him as a mixed race man. I took a break from that series for a book because I wanted to read something for Romanceopoly this month. So I read Lost and Found Sisters by Jill Shalvis. I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed Jill Shalvis' writing, not only in her Heartbreaker Bay series, but also in her Wildstone women's fiction series. This one is about Quinn, who is living life in LA. She is some type of chef, or she works in some type of kitchen. I don't remember exactly what her job title was. But one day she is, like, tracked down by this man who says he's a lawyer from Wildstone and that he needs to speak to her about an inheritance, because she did not know that she had been adopted as a child and her birth mother has passed away and left a sister that she also didn't know about who is only a teenager and needs somebody to take care of her. So Quinn goes to Wildstone, meets the sister. They have obviously a difficult relationship to try to work out who they are, what they are, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed the process of the sisters finding each other, really, and not the like facade that they were putting on for each other at the beginning. I really enjoyed, there's a bit of a romance in here. I enjoyed that as well. Yeah, overall, just highly recommend it. I think this is actually the first one in the Wildstone series. I think I've read them out of order because I have Rainy Day Friends and the Lemon Sisters there already that I've read. So I think this is actually before either one of those two. Then I went back to the Saints of Denver series and read the, I think it's the final book. It's the last one I have anyway. Salvaged by Jay Crownover. This one is about Wheeler and Poppy, who we've seen both of them kind of interspersed in the other 3 books. Poppy was in a really bad situation growing up. Her and her sister were definitely mentally abused by their father. And then in the process of trying to impress her father, she married a man who not only mentally abused her, but also physically abused her. Until she finally gets out, she's very, like, scared of like, the outside world and, like, what people could do to her if she gets close to them again, if she trusts them. But she ends up I think she kind of felt a kindred spirit in Wheeler, because his fiance that he's been with since they were teenagers has left him, and he kind of doesn't know who he is without the fiance there. He's been very much a people pleaser and trying to make her happy and everything. And I think Poppy just really felt like a kindred spirit within him of trying to do what others want from you. So, like, they adopted a dog together, kind of. She works at the vet office and took the dog to him because she felt like he was lonely, and they took care of the dog together, and so cute. I gave this one 4 stars. I don't think I said. Highly enjoyed this one. I was going to say this one was probably my favorite. Is this one or Riveted? I don't know which one was my favorite. So we went from Salvaged to Savaged by Mia Sheridan. I gave this one 3 stars. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I kind of would have preferred this had there not been a romance in it. I know, right? So this is kind of a romantic suspense mystery. I don't know what all the words to use are. Harper is our heroine, and she is contracted. She's like a wilderness leader person. I don't know the terms. She like takes groups out into the wilderness when they want to hunt or camp or something like that. Guide? Is that the word? Anyway, she's contracted by the police department to help her because they have basically what they think is a serial killer. They've had a woman who was shot with a bow and arrow in a motel, and then they have a guy who has lived kind of secluded out in the wilderness who was also, like, shot by a bow and arrow, and they don't know the... They're trying to get evidence, so they hire Harper to, like, help them find evidence in the woods and stuff. But they also find this man who kind of lives in an even more secluded cabin than the guy who was murdered. And they start uncovering all this stuff about how they're connected. And I just really kind of wish that Harper and the guy who they find, that's, like, the wild, savage guy, I just kind of wish there hadn't been a romance. Do recommend the book, though. It just, like, the romance part kind of took away from the mystery part. That is what what was keeping me so interested. And finally, the last book that I have to talk about is Real Men Knit by Quante Jackson. I gave this one 4 stars. If I was judging it as a romance, it would have been 3 stars. But if you look at it more as a... just kind of a general fiction, I think it was, I think it was a 4 star. So the premise of this is that these 4 adopted brothers, their adopted mother has passed away, and she owned a knitting shop. 3 of the brothers think that it makes the most sense to close the shop. One of them fights to keep it open, but they're like, you don't know how to run a shop, you are not good at keeping a job, you can't do this. And so, what was her name? Carrie, who has worked in the shop with the mom, volunteers to help him. And then things happen, and she ends up having to move in with him into the apartment above the shop because her apartment is unsafe to live in. And, like, there's a romance between them. And it was alright, but I was much more interested in the familial aspect of the brothers. But yeah, I do highly recommend this book if you are I would recommend it to romance readers, but especially if you're into, like, women's fiction or stuff like that, highly recommend. So those are the books that I read in the month of May. How was your reading month? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!